Nate tells the readers that Anastasia told him that her relationship with Aaron is so much more than what we've seen in this book, and I get that relationships do not exist in a vacuum. The problem is that the readers haven't experienced the Aaron that Anastasia is talking about, so it's really hard to root for him. Hello and welcome to Connotation Points Video Snark. If you came here because you thought that this is an audiobook, please stick around and maybe learn some reading and listening comprehension skills. I read books, discuss what went wrong, and how they can possibly be fixed. I'm continuing my read-through of Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Not the first video, go check out the others, links are posted below. Chapter 29. It's nearly Christmas and the semester has come to a close. The girls spend time decorating the house for the holidays upon Robbie's request while the rest of the boys were at an away game in Utah. Nate asks Anastasia if she's not going back to Washington for her break, but she says no. However, this is something that's kind of getting under my skin about this. She told her therapist that she knows her parents wouldn't have a problem if she were to quit skating, yet at the same time she also doesn't talk to them and seems to have some sort of anxiety about going home. She is clearly not all right. However, Nate seems to take her refusal to go to Washington as a chance to invite her to go to Colorado with him. He promises that his family won't be there, seeing as how they're on a tropical island right now, and they can be alone for a while. However, he also says stuff like skating on the lake, not simply suggesting that the two of them should spend their school break doing nothing but each other. Later, Nate and Anastasia get into an argument because she wants to get him a Christmas present, but he says that he doesn't want anything. Well, he does want something, but that it's her. The two of them proceed to break their self-decided rule and start to get hot and naked. As they're doing this, they continue to argue about the entire thing. Ugh. Finally, Anastasia says that he doesn't need to use a condom because she's on the pill and he's the only one that she's been with recently. And I don't think that this is the unexpectedly pregnant kind of story, but for sure that I've read enough of these that it worries me a little. When they finish, Nate tells her that this was his Christmas present from her, which, ugh. Chapter 30. The next day, Nate, JJ, and Henry go to a shop where they get into a bizarre and cringe-inducing argument in front of the poor sales clerk who is simply trying to sell them some lingerie. The cringe-inducing part is mainly because JJ and Nate are arguing the semantics of the phrase "fuck buddy" to describe Nate's relationship with Anastasia. Why? Why would you write this? This goes on for way too long, and then what's worse is that Nate continues to browse through the offerings in the shop. He apparently has no clue about buying stuff online. Ugh. To make an awkward situation even worse, Nate ends up knowing the girl who rings up his selections, and then they make the most painful small talk imaginable. When Nate gets back to the house, the already stalled out plot breaks down even further when they start to play... I wish I was kidding, but they start to play Drunk Twister. I am not fucking reading this. Later, Nate loses Anastasia in the crowd of the latest party. He finds her, but before he can reach her, Ryan grabs Anastasia from behind. Nate tells us that Ryan and Olivia broke up because she had, and I quote, too much baggage and a foot at the door. Do I care about this? No, especially not since Ryan hasn't been seen for ages. Anyway, Nate is super jealous over seeing Anastasia with another man. He watches as Anastasia pushes Ryan away, and Nate can tell that Ryan is super drunk. However, as soon as Ryan realizes that Nate is watching, he quickly leaves. When Nate goes over to her, Anastasia asks why he hadn't saved her from Ryan. Though Nate is the only man that she wants right now. She says that she's certain Ryan is upset about Olivia, which I suppose is fair enough. But Nate is only relieved when she explains that she set Ryan straight, that she's with Nate now and only Nate. Chapter 31. Later in the evening, Anastasia is dozing on Nate's lap in the garden near a bonfire. There's a sudden flurry of shouting from inside, and Nate jumps up, tells her to stay put, and runs inside. Lila calls her and says that there's fighting. However, she's upstairs in Robbie's room, and the only thing she knows is what she can hear. Worried about what might be going on, Anastasia goes inside, which I think is super stupid, but whatever. I feel like if the author wanted to show us what happened without Anastasia being dumb, she could have written this in Nate's point of view instead. But whatever. Anastasia pushes her way through the crowd, only to find Nate pinning Aaron against the wall. Both boys have bloody faces, and Anastasia has no idea what Aaron is doing there. I mean, aside from the obvious, which is to slut-shame Anastasia some more, and probably make her feel even worse than he already has. You mean. The rest of the team manages to get everybody out from the house. Nate rounds on Anastasia, angry that she came inside. However, she's like, that's not the issue right now. I'm more worried about you. He explains that Aaron was drunk and started mouthing off to some guys. Things got a little too heated, and, well, the other hockey boys are a little angry that Nate would have done something like that, especially since he's still bench following taking the fall for the rest of the hockey team. But then Henry says that he was the one who threw the first punch. He doesn't repeat what Aaron said about Anastasia, but I feel like we should all know Aaron's character well enough by now to figure it out. Henry says that Aaron had it coming, which I completely agree with. You can't just fucking fight people for talking shit, Hen. Normally, I'd completely agree. Fighting isn't going to help anybody here. But this is Aaron that we're talking about. The man is dangerous, and I feel like it's only a matter of time until he completely snaps and physically hurts Anastasia. Oh dear Lord, please don't let that be the ending of this book. I want Aaron to get his just desserts, but I don't actually want Anastasia to get hurt in order to see that to fruition. Sometimes it's better not to know what people say behind your back, honey. I think we both know that Aaron is a snaky little shit, and when you get back from Colorado, it might be time for us to talk about our living situation. Finally, some common sense. If only Lola could convince Anastasia to end her partnership with Aaron. Yes, even in the middle of this season. This is seriously getting out of hand. Chapter 32. How the fuck am I in more trouble than Henry? Ah yes, things were going a little too well there, so we needed something in order to return everything back to the baseline, which I like to remind people is Anastasia making up nonsense in order to be angry at Nate about. Nate tells the readers that Anastasia told him that her relationship with Aaron is so much more than what we've seen in this book, and I get that relationships do not exist in a vacuum. The problem is that the readers haven't experienced the Aaron that Anastasia is talking about, so it's really hard to root for him. We then jump back to Nate describing what happened, which, again, you could have simply written this to start with rather than seeing the aftermath of the fight and then jumping back. Ugh. However, there isn't exactly much to say. By the time Nate got inside, Henry and Aaron were already going at it. He pulled Aaron away from Henry and pinned him against the wall, which is when Anastasia came in. We go back to the present, only for Nate to watch Anastasia hovering around his room in irritation. I'm so freaking over this, especially since she already knows what a jerk Aaron has been. And when Henry explained that Aaron had been saying rude stuff about her at the party, to make matters worse, she almost immediately forgives Nate anyway, so I don't even know what the point of any of this was. They then go to sleep, but in the morning they bang, and then that's the end of the chapter. Mostly a waste of everybody's time since nothing new was actually imparted to us. Thanks for listening to my Book Snark on YouTube. New videos are up every Monday, but stick around because I sometimes drop random videos on other days too. Just as a reminder, even if you can't financially support me, there are other ways to help me out. The first is watching this video as well as all of my other videos. It's also important to like and subscribe. Finally, you can share this video with all your friends so that they can help as well. If you're already caught up with all of my videos, you can go to Tumblr for my main Book Snarks, always free and updated every morning. Newly added to Patreon is to become a member without paying. You'll get access to the same things on Tumblr, but on Patreon. Supporters can have access to so many more Booksnarks starting at $1 a month. Also new is a 1-week free Patreon trial, so be sure to check that out. Special thanks to Dawn, Phoebe, and Nikki for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Do you like my Snark so much that you want me to snark your writing? I do that too. For just $6 per chapter, I will tell you how awful that your writing is. But not to worry if you feel like you couldn't take the criticism. I also offer regular book editing as well, just $10 per chapter. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions. If you want to read some of the things that I've written, you can purchase my works on Amazon. I have a slew of spicy short stories and 2 full-length novels. I also frequently run flash sales on my stories, and if you don't follow me on any social media, you might want to do so just so you know when I might be offering things for free. Links for everything will be posted below. See you next week, guys!